Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel and in this lecture we will study about the order of execution of constructors and destructors in an inheritance hierarchy. Okay, so when constructors and destructors are executed in an inheritance hierarchy, this we will study. And we studied about inheritance in the very first class. I told you that inheritance is a generalization to specialization strategy. That means first you construct the most generalized entity, and through the generalized entity you go on to create the most specialized entity. And there can be layman example also. For example, is that suppose you want to construct a building. So if you want to construct the building, first of all you construct the ground floor, and from the ground floor gradually you move up. So for construction you move from bottom to up. Okay, and now if you want to destroy the building, it is not that you go on to destroy the ground floor, because if you destroy the ground floor, the whole building will collapse. So you construct that you destroy the top floor and then the floor below it. In this way you keep on destroying it. Okay, so destruction is from top to bottom. So similarly it's a case with in inheritance hierarchy. Suppose I say that there is an inheritance hierarchy. What kind of inheritance hierarchy? Something like this. Suppose you have a animal class, and from animal mammal class is inherited, and from a mammal a concrete class dog is inherited. Okay, something like this. So dog is the most specialized class and animal is the most generalized class. So what is the order of derivation? The order of derivation is from animal to dog. So once you create an object of dog class, which class? You create an object of dog class. So if you want to create an object of dog class, so first of all the properties that are specific to animal must be executed. That means the animal class constructor must run first, and then the mammal class constructor will run, and then the dog class constructor will run. And the reverse is the case if you want to destroy the dog object. So if you are able to not understand it, then let me practically demonstrate it. For example, suppose I say that I have a class, and suppose the name of the class is A. Alright, so this is my class, and in this class I construct inside the public accessibility modifier I create a constructor. And what do I write? I write something like this. In A class constructor. Okay, and then I give a new line. Alright, something like this, and then I create the destructor for class A. How do I create the destructor? Something like this. Okay, followed by a tilde sign. Now I will have two more classes, and I'll just copy it, and then I'll paste it over here, and then I'll paste it over here. So I'll call this class suppose B, and this class B, suppose it publicly inherits from class A, and this is the B class constructor, this is the B class destructor, and here I will write B class inside B class constructor, and inside B class this is not the constructor, this is the destructor. Okay, and here also in B class what? Not the constructor but the destructor. Okay, and then you have a suppose the class C class, and C class it publicly inherits from class A, suppose B. Then this is the constructor for C class, and this is the destructor for C class. And what do I say? Public. Okay, and what do I say? In C class constructor, and then in C class what? In C class destructor. Okay, something like this. So now I have created an inheritance hierarchy, and now I will go to the main method, and inside the main method I will construct an object of which class? I will create an object of suppose C1 class, C class, and the name of the object is say suppose C1. So if you actually go and run this application, what will be the output? Let us go and run it and see what is the output. Suppose I clean and build it. And now suppose I run this application. So what is the output? You see in A class constructor, in a B class constructor, and C class constructor, and then the destructor are called in reverse order of derivation. So what was the order of derivation? At the topmost level was the class A, and B class were derived from A class, and then C class was derived from B class. So what was the order of derivation, the order of derivation was something like this. It was something like this. Okay, first there was the A class, and from A class B class was derived, and from B class which class was derived? The C class was derived. So this was the order of derivation. So it is now clear, the constructors are called in order of derivation. Okay, like this. Now so that means you are creating an object of which class? You are creating an object of C class. See, here is your main method. I'll just move it upwards. And now you are creating an object of C class. When you create an object of C class, that means which class constructor is being called? The C class constructor will be called. This we saw in previous videos. In constructor videos, we saw that whenever you create an object of class, the constructor of the class is always called. This is a fact. But now how come B and A class constructor are called? Because you see over here, this C class constructor is calling the B class constructor, and this B class constructor is in turn calling the A class constructor. So we have not written any constructor calls over here. Then how come they are being called? For example, in C class constructor, I am not giving an explicit call to B class constructor. Then how come the B class constructor is being called? It is called because the compiler is by default inserting a constructor call to the base class constructor. So here comes a very important rule, and I will use a notepad to write this rule. Okay, you just make a note of it. Okay, I'll open a notepad. If there is no explicit call to the base class constructor in the derived class, then the compiler inserts a call to the default no args constructor of the base class. What does this mean? If there is no explicit call to the base class constructor in the derived class, then in the derived class I would say constructor. Okay, something like this. Then the compiler inserts a call to the default no args constructor of the base class. So this is what this means. See over here in this constructor, which is the derived class, and it is derived from class C. C class is derived from class B. So there is no explicit call to the B class constructor. So what the compiler will do, it will automatically insert a call to the default no argument constructor of B class, because it is being derived from which class? It is being derived from B class. Now if you go to B class, then is there any explicit call? Explicit call means that you are actually writing code to call the constructor of the base class, but there is no such call. So the compiler will insert a call to the default no argument constructor of the base class. And what is the base class for B? It is A. Then for A, it is, it is at the topmost position of inheritance hierarchy. So it does not have a base class, so its constructor will execute, and then B class constructor will execute, and then C class constructor will execute. Now why the destructors are being executed? Because when you go out of the scope of main method, the C object gets destroyed, and when it gets destroyed, the destructor is called. Okay, it is something like this. Now what I will do, I will write one program, and you have to guess what is the error in this program. Okay, you have to guess the error in this program. So I will just open this program, and you tell me what is the error in this program. I'll just copy it. Okay, and now I'll open I'll just write it. Okay, let us see what is the output of this program. Paste. Okay, yeah. Now this is one employee class, and I am going to I'm going to remove all this, and I don't want all this. I just want a very simple thing. I just want very simple employee class. This is all this is what I have I've already taught you, and this is very simple class. And now look at this inheritance hierarchy. Suppose I make these members protected. I make them protected. Okay, now if you observe, and in the main method I will create an object of the permanent employee. Suppose P1 is the name of the object. So I do something like this. Now what is the problem with this piece of code? If I observe this piece of code, then there is employee class, and this employee class is two protected members, the name and the salary, and then there is the constructor of which class? The constructor of the employee class, that is taking name and salary, and then there is a permanent employee class, and inside the permanent employee class I'm just, I'm not giving any parameterized constructor. Instead I'm just creating a default constructor of which class? The permanent employee class. Now I don't think there will be any errors with this program, because code is pretty simple and it does not look out that there can be some kind of errors with this program. So can you guess the errors? Let me go and run the program and see if there are some errors with this program. I'll just go and clean and build it. Oh, clean, successful. But now, my dear friends, you see there are some problems with this program. What is the problem with this program? You see no matching function for call employee. So this is the name of the employee, the name of the class, then the scope resolution operator, and then it is asking for the default no argument constructor of employee class. Why it is asking for the default no argument constructor for employee class? See over here, the error is somewhere over here. It is not being resolved at somewhere over here. Why is this error? Because permanent employee class is being derived from which class? It is being derived from the employee class, and once it is being derived from the employee class, it will call the base constructor. It will call the constructor of the base class, because for the permanent employee is the base class. And we saw what I have written over here in this notepad, that if there is no explicit call, then the default no argument constructor of the employee class will be called. But my dear friends, is there any default no argument constructor in the employee class? There is no default no argument constructor in the employee class. That is why it is asking for the same. Now if I do one thing, if I just add the default no argument constructor in the employee class and I save it and now I run it, then let us see what is the output. Clean and build, and then I go and run this application. So it is running fine. And if you really want to, if you really want to observe the output, then you can do something like this. Suppose here I write cout, and what do I write? In permanent employee class constructor, and then I will give a new line, and then I will copy it, and then I'll paste it over here. Okay, something like this, and in employee class constructor. Now if I actually go and run this program, what will be the output? Can you guess the output? Yes, it is very simple. I'll just clean and build this application, and now I will run this program. Let us see what is the output. See, in employee class constructor, and then in the permanent employee class constructor. Okay, now I think it is clear. Now what I do, I create a parameterized constructor in the permanent employee class. How do I create a parameterized constructor in the in this class? I will say, suppose string name, and integer is what? Salary. Okay, and now cout in permanent class parameterized constructor. Okay, and then I will give a new line, and now I copy this code and I paste it over here. Suppose I also say something like this. Suppose this is the employee class parameterized constructor. This is the employee class parameterized constructor, and now I say that because you see the employee class is having two protected members, the name and the salary, and permanent employee is being derived as publicly from employee class. That means name and salary will be protected members of which class? They will become protected members of permanent employee class. If they are protected members, and that means they can be accessed from within the class. So what do I write? This arrow name equal to what? It is equal to name, and this arrow salary equal to what? It is equal to salary. Okay, I will just not do. I'll copy this code. I'll remove it from here and I'll paste it over here. Now can you guess? Now what I do? I create an object of the permanent employee class, but now I pass the name and the salary. Suppose the name is Govind and the salary is, say, suppose 2 lakhs. So Govind is one of the names of God. So God, like us, is not in need of some salary, but still we say like Govind is some employee and he's getting some salary, but he's getting some handsome salary, 2,000 to 20,000, then 2 lakhs, and say it is per month, okay, not per year, okay. Now like that, we have created an object of permanent employee class. And now if I run this program, what will be the output, my dear friends? What will be the output? If you actually go and run this program, let us see what is the output. I clean and build this application, and then I run this application. See, in the employee class constructor, and then it is calling the permanent employee parameterized constructor. Why it is happening like this? Because you are creating an object of permanent employee class and you are passing two arguments. So the matching overloaded constructor is being called, but in this constructor also, is there any call to the super base class constructor? There is no call to the base class constructor. So that means there will be a default call that will be inserted by the compiler to the default no argument constructor of the base class. And what is the class? The employee class. And there is one default no argument constructor in the base class. That is the employee default no argument constructor, which is just printing out in the employee class constructor. Okay. So there is still one problem with this program. And what is this one problem? Suppose I say that if employee is permanent, then that employee will also get some kind of suppose commission. So I write so if there is a permanent employee, then in addition to salary he will get the commission also. So I will write something like this. I will remove this permanent employee. I will not create this object right now. I will say I want the permanent employee's name, salary, and then his what? His commission. Okay, I also want the commission. And now over here I will also set what? This arrow what? Commission equal to what? It is equal to commission. Okay. But my dear friend, this program will run fine. It will run perfectly well. But there is some kind of code repetition in this program. If you observe, then there is some kind of code repetition in this program. Can you just see what kind of code repetition is there in this program? See, over here also I am initializing the name and salary, and over here also I am doing what? I am initializing the name and salary. So this name and salary are specific to the employee class. So why not this initialization of name and salary be always there in the employee class? And this commission, which is specific to the permanent employee, that be initialized in which class? That be initialized in the permanent employee class constructor. So for doing it, I will explicitly, now I said it over here, there is no explicit call, but now what I will do, I will make an explicit call to what? I will make an explicit call. See, in this case there was no explicit call, but now I will make an explicit call to the base class constructor. And how will I make the explicit call to base class constructor? I will do it something like this. You add a semicolon, then you give the name of the class. The name of the class is employee, and then you pass the arguments. So what the arguments are? Name and salary. So now you do not need to initialize name and salary. You just need to initialize the commission in this case. Okay, and now can you guess what will be the output? Suppose I create an object of the permanent employee class. Suppose an object of the permanent employee class P1, and again suppose the name is Madhav, and Madhav is again one name of God. Okay, and his salary is suppose 2 lakhs, and then I say his commission is also very big. Suppose his commission is 50,000. Okay, all right. Now can you guess what will be the output in this case? Just go and run this program. I will clean and build this application, and then I'll just go and run. Sorry, I started to debug. Okay, I will run this application and let us see what is the output when I run this application. See what is output. in employee class parameterized constructor and in the permanent employee class parameterized constructor. Why is this output coming? Because you know, in this permanent employee, I am making an explicit call to the employee class 2 argument constructor. Had not been I have written this piece of code, then the employee class default no argument constructor was called, that we saw in the previous case. But now I made an explicit call, so that is why you know, this employee class constructor is taking the responsibility of initializing the name and salary of the employee, and the commission which is specific to the permanent employee is being initialized by which class? It is being initialized by the permanent employee class, this way. Okay, so so I'll just end this video over here, and in the next video we will continue our discussion of calling the base class constructor. Actually, we will see on a good example, you know, a big example in which we will explore all the possibilities, and you will get a feel of everything, of how, you know, how you can make inheritance hierarchy. So you will get a feel of it. So thank you so much for watching my videos. Please do keep on subscribing and liking my videos. Thank you for watching, and do share these videos with your friends. Okay, thank you.